You know, we live in a world that's just wrapped in invisible signals. We've got Wi-Fi, GPS, radio, our cell service, all that stuff, all that magic. It really depends on one unsung hero of technology, the antenna. And in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on this incredible and actually surprisingly simple device.
It really all comes down to one big question, right? How does a signal get from a physical wire out into the world and then back into another wire, seemingly through nothing at all? What is that invisible bridge that connects them?
Well, here's the short answer. An antenna is basically a translator. That's it. It takes the language of electricity, which is flowing happily in a circuit, and it translates it into the language of radio waves that can fly through space. And then it does the exact same thing in reverse on the other end.
So let's dig into that first role, acting as that bridge from the, contained world of wires to the wide open world of waves. I mean, this leap is honestly one of the most important technological achievements in all of modern history.
You know, it all started as just pure theory. Back in 1867, James Clerk Maxwell, he's doing the math, and his equations basically said these waves should exist. Almost 20 years go by, and then Heinrich Hertz actually builds a couple of simple antennas just to prove they were real. Then, just a few years after that, Guglielmo Marconi turns that scientific curiosity into a global communication system. Think about that. From a mathematical idea to changing the world in less than 30 years. Wow.
So how does a simple piece of metal actually pull off this incredible translation act? Well, the secret isn't some complex microchip. It's actually a really beautiful principle from physics called resonance.
And this right here is the absolute key to everything. This one single idea, resonance, is what makes efficient wireless communication possible. So if you really want to get how antennas work, you have to get this.
Okay, imagine you're pushing someone on a swing. If you push at just the right moment, their resonant frequency, you build up a ton of energy and they go higher and higher. An antenna does the exact same thing, but with electricity. An electric current flows in, it hits the end of the wire, and it reflects back. Now, if the length of that wire is just right, the reflected wave perfectly lines up with the next incoming wave, they reinforce each other, and you create this powerful, vibrating wave of energy along the antenna. We call that a standing wave.
And that's the magic moment. The perfectly timed, oscillating energy of that standing wave is vibrating at just the right frequency to literally launch its energy off the metal and out into space as a radio wave. Without resonance, most of that energy would just fizzle out or reflect back where it came from, pretty much going nowhere.
So what is that just right length we're talking about? Well, for the most common type of antenna, it's called the half-wave dipole. It's exactly half the wavelength of the signal it's designed for. That little Greek letter lambda, that just means wavelength.
So here's the bottom line, the crucial point. An antenna is not a one-size-fits-all thing. Its physical length is fundamentally tuned to a very specific frequency. And here's the cool part. High-frequency signals like your Wi-Fi, they have a really short wavelength, which is why their antennas can be tiny. But low-frequency signals like AM radio have a super long wavelength, and that's why they need much, much longer antennas. It's like the antenna is physically cut to hear its one specific musical note.
Okay, so we've figured out how to translate electricity into a wave, but we don't always want that wave to just spread out everywhere, right? Sometimes we need to aim it, and this is where the antenna goes from being a simple light bulb to a focused flashlight.
This brings us to a concept called gain, and honestly, it's kind of a misleading name. An antenna is a passive thing. It can't create more energy out of thin air like an amplifier can. Instead, an antenna gain is all about its ability to take the total energy it has and focus it in one direction, while sacrificing the other directions.
This is the perfect way to think about it. A simple antenna is omnidirectional. It's like a bare light bulb, spreading its energy, its light, pretty much equally in all directions. But a high-gain antenna is directional. It uses its design, like the reflector in a flashlight, to take all that same energy and concentrate it into a powerful, focused beam.
So how do you actually create that beam? Well, there are two common tricks. You can add extra, non-powered metal rods, they're called parasitic elements, that act like mirrors and lenses for the radio waves, grabbing the signal and re-radiating it in one specific direction. Or you can use a big, curved dish to collect and focus all the waves onto a single point, just like a satellite dish does. All right, now that we've got the principles of resonance and gain down, I promise you're going to start seeing antennas absolutely everywhere. They're the invisible foundation of our connected world, and a lot of the time, they're just hiding in plain sight.
I mean, that simple whip antenna on your car, that's a classic omnidirectional antenna. It doesn't need to be aimed at anything, right? Its job is just to listen in all directions, picking up those long wavelength AM and FM signals from any tower that happens to be nearby as you drive around.
What about that old TV antenna you see on a roof? That's a Yagi Yuta, a classic high-gain design. See all those extra metal pieces? Those are the parasitic elements we were just talking about, all working together to create a focused beam, pointed like an arrow, directly at a broadcast tower that could be miles and miles away. Next time you look at a cell tower, you'll see those rectangular panels. Those are actually very sophisticated antenna arrays, and they're highly directional. Each one of those panels is aimed precisely to cover a specific slice of the landscape, creating those interlocking cells that, give cell service its name.
And maybe most incredible of all, they're packed deep inside your phone. And not just one, but a whole collection of tiny, intricate antennas that are etched right onto the circuit boards. Each one is perfectly sized and tuned to the specific wavelengths of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 4G, and now 5G. It is an absolute marvel of engineering. So let's just quickly recap the big ideas. The most important thing to remember is that antennas are just translators between electricity and radio waves. Their secret weapon is resonance. Their physical size has to be tuned to the wave size. And gain isn't about more power, it's about focus, like a flashlight. It's these simple ideas that literally form the invisible foundation of our entire connected world.
I mean, from a couple of simple wires proving a theory to microscopic circuits connecting billions of us, the antenna has just constantly evolved. And that really leaves us with a final question. As our world demands more and more data from thin air, what's next for the invisible bridge? What new shapes and new forms will it take?